Yes.
We got 10 yes, 1 no, 1 abstain, motion carries. Thank you. Council, we go on to economic development. Ms. Lee?
Chairman.
Okay. No minutes yet? Okay, we did education. Mr. O'Connor.
The two ladies that brought in some letters last week from Takini School, Savannah Charger Eagle and Ricky White Wolf, for the senior and junior class. And they're requesting funds, so I'd like to make a motion to approve and refer to ABC
Okay.
for the senior and junior class at Takini School. They passed out letters last week.
A motion by Mr. Knight, second by Mr. Thompson, to approve and refer to CRST. Okay.
Does the guy need these letters, or does she have one? Oh, yeah. Okay.
I got mine, so.
All right. Thank you.
All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 12 yes, motion carries.
Okay, thank you, Council.
Go on to election. Mr. Brisbane?
Oh. Moment. Just thinking, when are they ever gonna get to my minutes? Yeah, I got it.
Is that minutes from January 25th, 2023?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had election board meeting. It was on Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, 10 a.m. Presidents, myself, Mr. Dupree's, who is the vice chairman, Ms. Haskell, Mr. Rose, Mr. Walters, Mr. Thompson, others present, Madam Secretary Whitefeather, and her assistant. I'm going to go through the motions here. We had some discussion. One of the public members, tribal members, wanted to visit. We went into executive and came out. There was a motion to refer the District 5 special meeting minutes held on January 21st, 2023, to Tribal Council, except for the updating of District number 5's voters list. A second by Mr. Thompson. I think last week we discussed that. Those minutes, Mr. Chairman? Was that last week? We basically discussed that already for the election board. Mr. Thompson made a motion to table seating of Mr. Bartlett as the District 5 Chair, referred to, and it was actually referred to Tribal Council, and again, that was brought up and discussed extensively last week. Was I getting- Yeah. No Adam's apple. Yeah, I got some. Do we have a, where's our sound system at? I thought that last week they turned it on first in the morning, you couldn't really hear, and then they turned it on second. So it was pretty loud. It was, yeah, you know, I sit there and scream at the people. Was that one work? Okay. Okay, okay. Now can you hear me? Better? All right. Okay. Mr. Walters made a motion to approve the voters list on the 2022 special primary election for District Number 1, 4, and District 5. It was seconded by Mr. Rose. Motion carried. Mr. Rose made a motion for the districts to have a special meeting to submit their nominations for council representatives with a deadline of February 24th at 5 p.m. It was seconded by Mr. Thompson, and the motion had carried. There was a motion by Mr. Walters to accept the resignation of Dana LeClaire from the Takini School Board. At this time, I don't know if Madam Secretary, if he had sent anything into you, but I haven't got anything on that. But he hasn't sent in his resignation letter yet. But the motion was seconded by Mr. Rose, and the motion had carried. So we're just waiting for that letter to come in. And then there was another motion referred to Dana LeClaire resignation letter to the Keeney School Board to start the special election process whenever that comes in. Motion was seconded by Mr. Walters, and that motion had carried. Mr. Thompson made a motion to refer the tribal council action approved on March 3rd, 2022, highlighted District Number 4 motion to put on the 2022 general election a ballot by the vote of the people to determine if the whole Constitution needs to be amended, or to have the attorney or tribal attorney general, then it was amended to read, or tribal attorney general, then it was amended to read motion to put on the 2022 general election a ballot question to read, should the tribe call for a constitutional convention to be open to the public for comments to revise the Constitution and bylaws by the year 2024 by the people, seconded by Mr. Rose, and motion carried. Mr. Thompson made a motion to disapprove the tribal council action on December 19th, 2022, highlighted District Number 1 motion to have the tribe look into the cost of electronic voting, second by Mr. Rose, motion carried. I think that was one of the motions that was referred from council to the election board. That's it for the minute, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Brinsmoney. Madam Secretary.
Good morning, Council, Mayor, Public. I'm going to request a motion to approve the district officer position for District 1, 4, 5, and 6.
Motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Brinsmoney. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Walters. Discussion? Mr. Russo, Ms. Whitefeather, and Ms. Lee. Yes, go ahead.
District 1, they made a motion to approve relatively
separate those or just keep them all together? Separate them? It's up to Mr. Brink's money. What do you want to do?
Separate it out.
Okay, we're separating out. We've got a motion by Mr. Brink's money, second by Mr. Walters to approve the first one.
District one chairwoman, Veronica Eagle Chasing, District one secretary, Anita Oros, District one treasurer, Ashley Reddow. And these are pending background and, filing deed
So motion to approve pending background
and filing deeds.
and final.
Okay, got a second by Mr. Walters, secretary.
Ray Cinderwood. Senna Junior.
Yes.
John Kessler. Yes. Henrik Dupree. Absent Sharon Lee. Yes. Kelsey Haskell. Yes. Brad Rose. Yes. Derek Margaret. Yes. Joe Brinkman.
Up.
Bob Walters. Ronald Broussard. Yes. Abby Townsend.
Yes. Who was the treasurer on that one?
Ashley Reddow.
11 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 1 absent, motion carries.
The other one, council, is the District Two. It was brought to my attention that Deja, I can't pronounce the last name because they're Rhodey. Is it all good if I say it wrong? But it was brought to my attention that she's not 25 and you have to be 25 years old to hold these seats. And I did verify that she is not 25. So motion, we need to refer that back to the district to reappoint. Motion. Representative Zenti.
Okay, motion by Ms. Lee, second by Ms. Haskell to refer back to the district. The appointment of Deja Israel, district chair. All in favor, raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 yes, 1 absent, motion carries. Madam Secretary?
Thank you, council. Entertain a motion to approve I pronounce the word, her last name, but she was selected as the secretary.
Hydro, what's that?
She was selected as the secretary because the minutes, says that she
No, she declined. And then they
was
hired,
nominated, and then, Augustina Collins was nominated.
yeah, but she's not 25 either.
Okay, and then these motions, second by Keenan. So the motions really don't say what you guys approved of. Right below that was the motion to cease. So,
Yeah, they're kind of young and
I
they're kind of young and they'll kind of teach them as I turn the meeting, so I kind
refer
of,
that position back to the
yeah,
district.
yeah.
Motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Knife, refer back to district, second by Mr. Brink's money. All in favor, raise your hand. 12 yes, motion carries. Ms. Whitefeather?
Thank you, council. Next one, District Five. Council Representative Bartlett.
Any action, council? Motion by Mr. Bringsmoney.
Derek Bartlett as the District Five Chairman and Paula May Hyder as the District Five Secretary.
Got a motion by Mr. Bringsmoney to approve. Second by Mr. Russo. Discussion? Madam Secretary?
And again, extending silencing and background. Bryce Underwood. Kenneth Junior.
Yes.
John Kessler. Henry Dupree. Sharon Lee. Kelsey Haskell. No. Thad Rose.
No.
Derek Bartlett. Yes. Joe Bringsman. Bob Walters. Ronald Russo. Yes. Kathy Thompson. No. Thank you.
We got 7 yes, 4 no, 1 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Madam Secretary?
Thank you.
Hang on, she has the floor.
Also in this minutes, there is a motion to pay Annie Nichols for the minutes. And then there was another motion later on to not pay her. So I need a clarification of council to pay her or not. Yeah, there was a motion made and then, at that earlier to pay her. And then on the 31st, there was a motion to not pay her. Second. What are the wishes of council?
Motion by Mr. Walters to pay Ms. Nichols, second by Ms. Lee. Discussion? Go ahead.
Hey, Chairman, so if our district nominates these people to be the district chair, then who are we as a council from different districts to vote no and determine whether or not those actions can move forward? Like, that's one of the problems we have in District Five is there's no support. They got a council rep that don't even have district meetings since he's been in office, and not supporting District 5's district minutes to nominate whoever they nominated. These are duly called meetings, and when they act within the Constitution and nominate and elect their district officials, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to just push it through. Well, how are we gonna have 4 no votes and 1 abstain, and 4 no votes from a different district? What is 4 no votes?
Okay, let's talk about the motion
What
on
does
the floor.
that 4 no votes for a different district even mean?
This is,
District 5 action.
this motion is to pay Annie Nichols for her work. According to our Constitution, that's in lines with that.
Let's hope that we can move forward. We're gonna empower our districts or not. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Ms. Lee?
I'll make a comment after the vote, Chairman.
Madam Secretary?
Bryce Underwood. Kenneth Junior.
Yes.
John Kessler. Henry Dupree. Sharon Lee. Yes. Kelsey Haskell. Yes. Thad Rose.
Yes.
Derek Bartlett. Yes. Joe Bringsman.
Oh.
Bob Walters. Ronald Russo.
Yes.
Kathy Thompson.
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Madam Secretary?
Chairman,
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to state after that, it wasn't regarding the motion to pay Annie, my statement, but, I voted no on the motion for, Eric as District 5 Chairman and Paula May as Secretary. I wish they would have separated the motions out, thought they were together. But I don't have a problem with Paula May, but sure, we can call it
Madam Secretary?
Okay, council, last one is District Six. To appoint Danny Butcher as the District Six Chairman, Sonia Brown as the District Six Secretary, and Amber Lowell as the District Six Treasurer. Pending.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Thompson, second by Mr. Russo. Madam Secretary?
Bryce Underwood. Ted Junior.
Yes.
Don Kessler. Cameron Dupree. Darren Lee. Elsie Haskell.
Yes.
Brad Rhodes. Derek Portland. Bill Brinkley.
That's pending approval with the fees as well too, correct? Okay. How,
Walker. Robert Russo. Kelsey Thompson.
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 absent, 0 abstain, motion carries. Mr. Russo?
We had committee action, budget committee, I was here that day, but I wanted to waive them fees because Danny paid $70 already to get on the petition for the election, and that was when the election chair was breaking the Constitution and doing all kinds of crazy stuff with the election committee, and they didn't allow Danny on there, and he didn't allow our, Jennifer Cox on there either, so they both paid $70 to be on there, and they got disqualified by the election board. So, that's what we kind of experienced a hardship, we're trying to empower our members to, run for these district positions, so we can have some district action, and more involvement, and try to do good things for our people. But then we have to face these obstacles, and that's what I'm advocating for, is that we continue to help ease this process and encourage our members, rather than what we've been doing, is slapping our members in the dirt and rubbing them around a little bit, a lot of it. So that's what I'd like to, it was my understanding that Mrs. Haskell brought that motion on the floor, and our own council rep didn't second it, the one that was here. So I wanted to point that out, and if we could make a motion to reconsider that motion, I'd second it and let the council vote on it. If you allow. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Council, we go on to enrollment minutes.
I had my hand up, sorry, I had my hand up, he's not recognizing me. Alright? You see my hand up, you don't
Why are you
recognize
running the meeting? Chairman is. He has to call on you.
We got a lot of work to do.
First, yeah.
We got enrollment minutes.
me. Here, Chairman, on
Mr. Islewood, did you get called on?
Enrollment,
Hey, I got
Mr. Knife?
one election here, Chairman. Reconsideration on this, motion to disapprove, tribal council action on December 19th.
We're done with election minutes. We're on enrollment minutes.
Cost of electronic voting, I'd like to make a motion.
We're on an enrollment report. Who's the chair?
Mr. Russo, but we didn't have a meeting,
Mr. Russo, enrollment.
Yes, what's the reason? We didn't have a meeting this month.
Okay, we go on to health. No minutes for health. Human services. Human services. Mr. Bartlett. Mona Woglaka.
Mr. Chairman, real quick. Bryce, if you want, when we have the next election board meeting, they come and present again, because nobody presented on that, so. Okay, well, bring it to the election board and then we'll discuss it. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, okay. I'll let you know when we're having our next one and then can come.
We're going down the list, Bryce. You should have brought that up earlier. We can come back to it though. We can come back to it. We can come back to it.
I'd like to be noticed, Chairman. If there's just one issue,
come back to it. Mr. Knight?
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for District Two chairs to get reimbursed if she's underage.
Hang on, I got Mr. Bartlett has the floor. I'm sorry, what?
Steve Gunnar, what is that?
You need Steve Gunnar?
Yeah, you want to present a resolution regarding those 8 homes? He was going to present last week with the last report. So that's the only one that needs action.
We could probably get him on this afternoon. We can come back to it.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
just that, review on the 8 homes for that, it's called the revocable agreement,
Okay.
put it for the record, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Bartlett, read the date of your minutes for the record.
These are the February 2nd, Human Services Committee minutes.
Thank you.
We just need one action, we need Steve Gunnar.
Okay, we'll try to get him on this afternoon. Thank you. Next, we got land. Ms. Lee?
Thank you, Chairman DeVoe. In the Human Services Committee minutes, I was just gonna note, I know we go by initials on here, I guess for privacy reasons, but this one person was approved, number 20, that KP was, it's requested assistant for Morro Grande for electrical hookup, and then she needs 3,121.04. She was approved for the 1,500, that's the most that we can, but she still needs the balance because, I would have to that found out that, she can't hook onto her neighbor's, pole that she's got electricity. And she needs to get her own pole, and that's why it's 3,121.04. So I had her fill in another application, she's in District 4, with the remainder of it, I think it's like $1,400. But, does it have to go back to the committee again? Human Services Committee again? That's the time that the committee was aware that she has to have her own pole, and she can't hook on to her neighbors, because it's hooked on to someone else's pole.
However you want to handle that, Ms. Lee?
So I was gonna make a motion to, approve, it's number 20, KP, to approve her for the balance, because she can't have electricity unless she has her own pole, because of the way it's situated in town.
Okay. We got a motion by Ms. Lee. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Rose. Discussion on the motion, council? Madam Secretary? 11 yes, 11 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Any other issues on human services? Mr. Knife for land?
No, she's waiting for some legal descriptions. Call you whenever she's ready.
This afternoon or?
Maybe, she said
this afternoon?
Maybe or tomorrow morning would be better for her. She said she's waiting for ESDA to get a hold of her too.
Okay. You just want to do that in the morning then?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And they can do that CREP
yeah,
agreement in the
yeah,
morning?
that's what she's waiting for. But I want to make a motion to have our district chair get reimbursed because she's underage.
Yeah, hang on, let's get this, let's get our minutes, reports done, and we can go back to that.
All right.
Was that health? Just recent, the one that Ms. Representative Lee, Human Services?
Oh, human services, yeah. You have something on that?
No, I was looking at the minutes here. Sorry.
Will we go on to law and order, Mr. McClellan? Law and order?
Okay. Did you hear everybody okay, or? Okay. I'm hollering at the people. No. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a law and order meeting on January 13th. President was myself, Mr. Dupree's, the vice chair, Mr. Kessler, Ms. Haskell, Ms. Lee, and also Mr. Russo. This is where we voted, we made a motion, or Ms. Haskell nominated Mr. Dupree's for vice chair. He was nominated at this time. Second by Mr. In the Woods. There was various reports. Mr. Maynard from 911 had reported just an update on his program. I know that he said that they had moved into the new building. He had given up, or actually put out an invite to the representatives that they wanted to go over and do a walkthrough. There was a motion by Representative Kessler, second by Ms. Haskell to have a legal review and a waiver for 911. That was in regards to I think the abundance of phone calls that he was receiving in regards to his address, if I remember correctly. Yes. The waiver is
It was a consent.
it was a consent. Mr. Maynard added that the head of the household must have a bill with an address and write a letter that the individuals live with him. They quit writing these letters because of legal issues. A waiver will be developed to cover if used for fraudulent purposes. And that was the motion for 911. I can make that motion. Chairman.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Bringsmoney. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Haskell. Discussion or comments?
No, it's just a waiver for 911 too. Yeah.
I believe this,
Can you explain that a little bit?
yeah, go ahead, Ms. Haskell.
So Mr. Maynard was he needed these consent forms signed or these waiver signs for physical addresses because we had people claiming multiple addresses that were one family, and normally head of household can only claim that physical address. So and he was getting in trouble because someone would come and say they don't live with me, or they were claiming
this address even though they didn't live there. So he was just basically asking for waivers from the head of households to get those, 911 addresses dispensed or dispersed to the right people.
And this will develop that waiver for them to sign.
Any other comments, council members? Madam Secretary?
Bryce Edwards? Kenneth Junior?
Yes.
John Kessler? Henry Dupree? Sharon Lee?
Yes.
Kelsey Masco?
Yes.
Brad Rhodes? Derek Bartlett? Bill Brinkman?
Huh.
Paul Walker? John Russo? Dusty Thompson?
Yes.
Okay, 11 yes, 1 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Mr. Blinkmeyer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just gonna, go to the motions, if there's any. There was a motion, I'm just gonna read it in the record, but it was later tabled, because, the tribal member, wanted to bring more information back to the next meeting. So, it was a motion, in agreement with Facebook in regards to posts used in legal charges and to include in the law and order code. So we're still, the individual's still gonna bring more information back. She had presented, earlier during the meeting and then later came back and added that she needed more information, so it was tabled at that point. There was a motion to approve a contract with Seth Brinks-Money to remove the carpets at the prosecutor's office and do various other works with the flooring, the trim, and some other work. There's actually two motions that are similar here, and it's a small contract, but the department was advised to go ahead and have it approved through the committee and then bring it through council, but I understand that was that taken care of already?
Yeah.
Sir? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Should I still read this into the record for the motions, or do we need any further action on this?
It should be handled by the program. They're able to, we signed the paper and we told them to do the voucher.
Okay,
Because it's under that threshold.
okay, so there was two individuals that did that work, and then,
Yeah.
so we don't need it, so, okay, so that'd be an in-house?
Yeah.
In-house, okay. Okay, so, there was a motion, by Mr. Russo and, seconded by, Representative Dupree to initiate a plan to create a Wakayaja Wichoti, and to refer to, regeneration and ICWA to develop. It was after one of the programs had presented, and it was Diane Guerra with ICWA. So they would be working together on this portion of it. And I know that we heard from the Unchis last week, so it's good to get some of our people together and then, make a collaborative effort to address the issue of what's taking place with our children. And this motion would support that. I think that we have a lot of individuals in our community that have a lot of knowledge in regards to what's taking place with our children on that level of foster care and adoption with the state. But it's very concerning. It's amazing why it isn't a bigger issue, but we're losing children consistently. And when our children are lost, I mean, at some point, it seems like it's no getting back, because you heard before that there was they were talking about the system being a pipeline to the prisons, and it's true. Because a lot of our children are getting, after they age out, they call it, and they get referred, or they get sent to prison next.
because they're caught in the streets and they have them heavily medicated. I mean, it's there's a lot of issues there, but this motion would address, go to addressing, some of the issues that we have for housing and some of the services that would provide for our children. I'll make that motion.
Okay, we got a motion by Mr. Brings Plenty, second by Mr. Rousseau. Discussion on the motion, council? Madam Secretary?
Bryce Haywood. Ken Junior.
Yes.
John Kessler. Ken Rick. Kenner Lee.
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell.
Yes.
Brad Rose.
Yes.
Derek Bartlett.
Yes.
Joe Brinkman.
Now,
Bob Walter. Robert Russo.
Yes.
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Mr. Brings Plenty?
thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a motion made by Representative Russo and second by Representative Haskell regarding pregnant women under an involuntary commitment order for Law and Order Committee Chair to work with the Tribal Health CEO for an executive resolution with Chairman LeBeau. Still currently working on that, Mr. Chairman, then we'll bring that back to you, so then we can bring it back to council again.
Okay.
And that'll be on ordinance 41, I do believe, Mr. Russo. Sorry.
We don't need the council, we want that to be an executive resolution, so we can speed it up. We're hoping that would already been done by now. We have some, ICO right now, on some women that are pregnant, and they were needing assistance. That was the last one, so hopefully that, you and your team and you guys can work together and get that, one of the problems you're having is we have all these invisible barriers or these barriers that we'd like to make up. One of them is the liability, they say. And we're a sovereign nation, we do stuff, we enforce our sovereignty all the time, but all of a sudden we talk about liability like someone can sue us. So, you gotta remember, we're a sovereign nation, and I just don't like when we set up them, excuses or them invisible barriers, instead of just helping our people. So that's what we'll understand from that motion, Mr. Chairman LeBeau.
Yep, we'll be looking out for that with Mr. Brings Plenty, and Ms. Simon will carry it out.
Mr. Chairman?
Good.
Okay, thank you. I'll continue on.
Yes, sir.
There was a motion by Representative Russo, second by Representative Haskell, to authorize the chief judge to modify the position descriptions of judge, associate judge, prosecutor, and public defender. I do believe that's an in-house motion, Mr. Chairman, for those job descriptions to be revised.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll read that in the record. Second, another motion here, the motion by Representative Russo, seconded by Representative Dupreez to have the chief judge move forward with the establishment of the Tribal Bar Association. Judge Claymore did give a lengthy, on-the-spot presentation in regards to the Tribal Bar. I know I've been talking with her about it and trying to figure out what we can do as far as addressing the needs that we have with prosecutors and the judges. I know that there's other cistern tribes, where Rosebud, for sure I know, has a tribal bar that they have been utilizing for their court officers or characters, and this would get Cheyenne River on the map of basically creating our own. I don't think we have to really reinvent the wheel in regards to it as far as the conversation took place, but we can benchmark some of the ideas from some of our cistern tribes to be able to address this issue and move forward. We have individuals, tribal members in the area that fit the criteria as far as their credentials,
And this would assist them to make them bar certified so that they can practice as well. So I'd make that motion. And also too, Mr. Chairman, I do understand that this was already approved in the past. I don't know when, but Judge Claymore said that this was already something that the tribe was looking at doing before COVID. And then when COVID hit, it kind of slowed up everything, basically stopped it. So trying to get it back on track again.
Good.
Motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Bringsmoney, second by Mr. Rousseau. Mr. Inowitz?
Yeah, on this T-bar, that discussion that you have, because you, white guys, nomination, that discussion, how close are you with that T-bar?
That would, I know that they have their process with Rosebud Sioux Tribe, and if anything, Judge Claymore said that it's probably a tougher exam to pass, because the tribes are so, you know, other jurisdictions are so critical of tribes. So it has to come to that we have to be, you know, better on by standard, and above and beyond, go above and beyond when it comes to what we're doing with our judiciary. So they do have that process. I know that I think about a year or two ago for District 5, we had supported an individual that was going through that process down in Rosebud through their bar association. I don't know what the outcome was at, and I wanted to visit with her in regards to what conspired, but haven't got a chance to visit with her in regards to that. But it'll be using some of their process, but also developing our own to our own needs here. So right now there's nothing there. That's just to support this so they can move forward with it.
We got action here, established a judiciary committee. We have American Indian Judges Association, and then we got NARC, American Rights. They might have some type of look at. But I think that judiciary committee needs to be established, so they should take that on.
I think that judiciary was absorbed into the law and order, Mr. Inowitz.
It was in before, there was a standing committee, the judiciary committee, that's what the court reported to. Law and order took care of it, he turns in and law and order. There were two separate committees, two separate contracts.
Okay.
This is where everybody's information, I think we need to look at it. Good stuff, you know, I think this one here has brought a lot of stuff
Yeah.
for us. So maybe, I don't know, shall we get that judiciary committee going? And, I think this one here needs to get done, so I think that would be the committee to take it on. Because you guys are running the police chief job. Seems like, kind of like self-sufficient. Of course, we're gonna have to make a ruling on this too. I don't have a public health doctor anymore. 5% of that whole ordinance. No public health ordinance right now. And so, District 5, I'm just using back some of the other districts. I think that was the sticking point, was travel. There was some language in there. Where you look at the seatbelt.
Mr. Lewis?
I think that up on this case, whatever, that was even on that. Officers going, stop going. Keep our. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, council members? Madam Secretary?
Bryce Ingram, Brian Junior,
Yes.
John Kessler, Henry Dupree, Sharon Lee,
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell.
Yes.
Chad Rose.
Yes.
Aaron Carter. Bill Russell.
How,
Paul Walker. Ron Russo.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Mr. Brinkspani?
Thank you, sir. There was some issues that were presented by Mr. James Martin out of the Public Defender's Office, some of the shortfalls in regards to their budget. We had made a motion to refer to the Budget and Finance Committee. That'd be my motion.
Okay, we got a motion to refer by Mr. Brinkspani, second by Mr. Russo. All in favor, raise your hand. 12 yes, motion carries. Mr. Brinkspani?
Thank you, sir. There was a motion by Mr. Russo, second by Ms. Haskell, for the Law and Order Committee Chair to seek discretionary funds from BIA for the tribal courts, judicial system, and law and order. Basically, I think it's a motion to support me in that, so that'd be my motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Brinkspani, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Haskell, discussion? Ms. Whitefeather?
Bryce Ingram. Kenneth Junior.
Yes.
John Kessler. Yes. Henry Dupree. Sharon Lee.
Yes.
Kelsey Haskell.
Yes.
Chad Rose.
Yes.
Eric Carter.
Yes.
Bill Russell.
How,
Paul Walter. Ron Russo.
Yes.
Trustee Thomas.
Yes.
Okay, 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Go ahead, Joe.
thank you, sir. There was, and then on the law enforcement report, there was an issue that actually I had brought up and I was working on when I was there with law enforcement. It was to have cameras put up in the detention and juvenile detention area, the booking, and the vestibules, and also the garage where you bring in inmates. There was a motion by Representative Haskell, second by Representative Lee, for adult and juvenile detention to fast-track purchasing of cameras for the facility to be done by the chief of police. I do motion. I'll second.
Okay, motion by Ms. Haskell, second by Mr. Brinkspani. Just
To explain a little further too, I know I checked with law enforcement and they're still working on it. Our process is so slow. I just we needed those cameras up like 10 years ago, and I know that they did have a camera system there, but it wasn't working properly, and they just have a lot of issues. They're doing a renovation of it, and it's added in with the BIA when they came down, and the engineers took a look at it. It's all the cost that's gonna be absorbed by the BIA, but the reason why for this motion is to fast track it to safeguard our inmates as well as our detention staff back there as well. So that was the explanation of those cameras.
Chairman, this is a request from District One, that, violence, they asked if you could get, cameras, like on the streets, if you kind of look at, that would be like online security, but who would do that? Because that's an housing authority and not a what would that legally be under if we put up cameras like that? Who would check it? Who
I know that District 5 had requested a meeting a year ago and discussion of cameras to put up around some of the neighborhoods that were requesting it, kind of like the high crime areas. And so we had brought in a corporation or a company, and they gave a presentation. They can set up the stationary cameras. My question was originally was to have these systems set up in the units. So because every other unit out there, as far as the state, they utilize these plate readers. But when the company had presented, they have more ability than just plate reading. They can hit on different types of vehicles. I mean, you can put in a description. You can put these up as long as you have cell service, which I know the discussion of cell towers has come up, and which if we have the cell service out in the areas like our borders for the reservation, we can put these towers up or these cameras up to be able to read. If we have somebody, if there's a missing child or somebody was abducted, and we can see which way that the vehicles are traveling. And also too, if there's individuals bringing in drugs, we can also track them in that fashion as well. And all you have to do is just punch into the computer, you know, the amount of time that those vehicles have been passing through, or how many times those camera systems have encountered it. As long as it's plugged into one system, it'll read it, and it'll show you from which point that they're coming in and going out.
Chairman, like, what this is on asking for, maybe you can. I don't know about this, but we can look at that. They're really outdoor, but you do want to do for it.
They're outdoor. They're outdoor. I asked about if they're capable of handling the types of weather that we have here, and they are. They've really made some nice camera systems these days too, as far as technology. Yeah. Yeah, I can revisit again with law enforcement and see if, but it's gonna, I mean, if we're gonna actually go down this road, you know, it's gonna take a budget in regards to it, so.
We find out locations, like, whatever, like that, more man, but it would be law enforcement that would be over that, and have authority over the cameras.
They should.
That doesn't spell out there, but if we need someone to spell that out, to get cameras, INC, communities, and the camera set up, and lights, both on it, and then we can bring it to trash, budget,
Yep.
we'll read the motion to that effect.
Yeah, we can, work on that one. I think that's important to have that surveillance throughout the reservation, especially our reservation, because we're so huge in land. So definitely, doing the right thing. I think this kind of fast track this for our safety. Any other comments? Madam Secretary?
Ray Stewart. Bernard Junior.
Yes.
John Kessler. Henry Cruz.
Yes.
Sharon Lee.
Yes.
Elsie Knapple.
Yes.
Diane Rose.
Yes.
Jerry Bartlett.
Yes.
Bill Ringsby.
How,
Bob Walters. Ron Rudolph.
Yes.
Duffy Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, 12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries. Mr. Brinkspani?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There's, next motion was by Representative Russo, second by Representative Haskell, to have the BIA standardize the one-year waiver for our officers and certification. Basically, what, we approve this, then it'll go to you, sir, and that'll be presented probably on, with, Travel Great Plains.
I imagine, to get more support from our sister tribes. The state does a 1-year waiver, and a lot of individuals that go into law enforcement, if they don't know what they're going into, we may spend the resources to get them certified, and when they come back and work on the road for a matter of months, they might decide that they don't want to do that sort of work. So this 1-year waiver will allow for uncertified individuals to work under certain criteria with our law enforcements, so that we can get them trained, basically on-the-job training, but while they're waiting to get into their certification. The state does this. They can do up to misdemeanors, but as far as felonies, you have to have an individual that's certified and accredited. So this is what this is. This is basically asking for a change on how the BIA is doing policy. And when we had conversations with the BIA, they seemed kind of surprised because everybody assumed that the BIA had never done this before, but our tribe, because of self-determination, was allowed to do this. And at some point, I think in 2013 or 14, the BIA took a hard stance and then stopped us from being able to hire individuals in this way. So just an explanation of this here motion, sir.
Thank you.
To add on to this,
Do we pass a motion yet?
No.
I'll make a motion to.
Okay, motion by Mr. Brinkmoney, second by Mr. Bartlett. Go ahead, Mr. Lewis.
on this part here, the Attorney General was to, because we was having that problem, getting the guys to go down there and couldn't cut the grade. Then with iron, action, a lot of different tribes, we'll get them certified. They come back here, so we're talking about trying to get this program going. They have this year waiver where we have candidates, our members, going through this year waiver, but they should be, this component of the Attorney General is supposed to be giving them, going through the test. What's they're going to be going for certification. That was the main reason we got the Attorney General on, because we were having those problems in internal affairs too. But we wanted certification, so it looks like this is a good step towards it, but we gotta have that component where like what District 1 is asking for, the elders, we're asking for our own certification. So we need to look at that. How BIA has their certification curriculum, they have a water component too, we got water, so we should be utilizing that curriculum, but speak too, so that we have, remember that fulfill what the salary request, was have our own certification, and include our members in it. So if we started like a PAL program that they have in the cities, kind of like this, they let guys go right along with the cops and trainees or whatever, but at the same time, they're learning all that has to go with being certified, passing that test. And at that time, our members were not passing that test, so we gotta kind of fulfill that now, and then look broader at doing our own certification. That way we can determine, what our tool is. There's a lot of young guys that want to be police officers. We should be doing everything we can to have that happen. But it's going to take what's going on now. It's going to take that part of that illegal given. Who would be able to do that? That was the Attorney General's duty. But now that we don't have an Attorney General, I guess we'll have to pay. But I know Steve Dunn gave me the curriculum and stuff for BIA. That's why I found out there was water curriculum too.
There's, Mr. Chairman, if I might add, Troy Morley out of the Federal Prosecutor's Office in Pierre. He's, I do believe he's enrolled Turtle Mountain, but he has come here and actually done training in Indian country, federal law in Indian country, and he has said that he would be willing to come back again and provide that as well for any of our new officers that come in. So, I mean, with the tribal law enforcement have 40 hours of in-service before an individual does go out on the streets. So we have an amount of individuals that are tribal employees here that are trainers, and they can provide some of the certifications in areas that are needed, that is required through some of these accredited training facilities, so, or centers. So it's not getting them, like law enforcement certified until they actually go through their 15 weeks of certification. It's getting them ready to the point to where they're covered, we're covered legally when they're out in the streets and what they know what the laws are and liability. Yep, exactly. Okay.
Any other comments? Madam Secretary?
Bryson Wood. Ted Winter.
Yes.
John Kessler. Sharon Capri.
Yes.
Sharon Lee. Counselor Haskell.
Yes.
Pat Rose.
Yes.
Jared Bartlett.
Yes.
Joe Brinkman.
Out.
Paul Walters. Donald Russo.
Yes.
Elsie Thomas.
Yes.
Eleven yes, 0 no, 0 abstaining, 1 absent, motion carries. Mr. Brinkley?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next motion is by Representative Russo, second by Representative Haskell, to work with the Federal Law Enforcement Center, FLETC, BIA, in conducting their monthly or their 3-month police officer certification training in Pierre. There was an idea that was being kicked around in regards to utilizing IPA instructors, Indian Police Academy instructors in Pierre. And Pierre, they have a new director, and he's expressed interest in allowing FLETC to utilize their training facility in Pierre. And I think this would be a good motion to get them to support that. They have a facility that they're working on up in north of Fargo, but you know, we've been sending our officers down to IPA into Artesia, New Mexico, and it's quite a ways, but this would allow for them to train up to 40 officers from Indian country. When it comes to the state, their the way that their training facility is set up, they're servicing state, county, city before they service any of the tribes. So the tribes are lucky to get maybe 2 seats during those sessions, and it's a waiting list. So you may have your application in before anyone else, but if there's 40 individuals that put their applications in that are working with the state, then your application is going to get bumped out. And if they're able to do this, then we can get at least 40 tribal officers to go down to the state facility and be trained by on federal standards by IPA, Indian Police Academy. So that'd be my motion.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Brinkman, second by Mr. Underwoods.
Chairman,
Good.
so the 16 weeks of training, working with the state, I think we need to mesh it together. We got our own dorms over there. We got that track, we got fire range. And that we can do some of that training there. We got Wi-Fi sheets on that building. We need to get EIA in that. based on it too much. But that should be part of that curriculum too, is what that we have, we established that all questions. We should push that, should get a better DIA, law and order, and have the DIA look at it. Give them the office there, what she can. And then put this on the agenda that we start to do it easy. Do that. Can't beat that, so we gotta look at doing that here, Jason, I put that out here, but these guys, I gotta support, we gotta take it out, and the money behind it, who would put that bill? How much the DIA is, what can they do? What? You gotta, who's your guy, that law enforcement?
That's, John Bergs. Bergs.
Well, we need to have a call with that. Bring them in, we need to bring them in on the court too, the court is enforcement. That would take the strike, but they weren't gonna allow us to be lead, but Steve Lowry, she's on the side of that, these officers. We got that Steve right there. We gotta keep those guys that work certified, be certified. We have a list of all the officers that are driving under us, former and all that. We have a list of them. No one was asking who could get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, here. We certified right here.
The state has a reciprocity, that officers that have, certifications have lapsed. And usually it's 2 years for, the state, and it's 3 years for BIA. So the certification, certification will lapse. But the state has one, FLETC doesn't. So if your certification lapse, you're gonna have to go back through the course. And for reciprocity, it's like a 600 question, exam that you have to take and pass. So it's pretty lengthy, but you have to understand the liabilities too and the laws, because you're enforcing with the public. But this motion right here is just to request for them to allow the training to be held in Pierre, which they're also in support of as well. And then I don't know if IPA would be in support of it, but it sounds like they're kind of clearing out some of their dorms during this coming summer, and they're getting ready for it. So they're gonna because they don't, state does not have certification during the summers, so that's an open slot. And they have enough room to accommodate 40 personnel as well too, so.
You need a big crew if you have 40. How much does that take?
They have, it's gonna be no different than what they do down in FLETC. They already have their training schedules and from week to week and what personnel will be training, or instructing. So it's already a set up course. You can look at it online through FLETC and IPA, and it'll show you what they go through as well too. Yep.
They won't recognize his BIA certification.
Yeah.
For Steve.
Yep.
So if they could get something, work with the state,
Yes.
get our BIA certification.
How?
Get them together.
They have a reciprocity from BIA to state.
Yes.
If they pass that reciprocity, they can become state certified. So it's dual. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was a motion by Representative Russo, seconded by Representative Haskell, to initiate the court process for determining what cases go federal outside the Major Crimes Act and to be developed by the chief judge. Motion, that'd be my motion, sir.
Motion by Mr. Brinkman, second by Mr. Russo, discussion.
There's, Mr. Chairman, there's been some misdemeanor level charges in the past that the initial charges did not fly on the federal side, but they've charged them on a misdemeanor level, which it trumps our jurisdiction, because you can't charge an individual on a DUI in federal court. I mean, we already have that jurisdiction to do that. But if they're going to be pleading the charges down, then that needs to come back to our courts rather than for them to hold on to those individuals on a federal level. To get charged and convicted in the federal court on a DUI because they couldn't provide why the individual is being charged for anything else. But I mean, it's safeguarding our government, but also too it's exercising our sovereign ability and jurisdiction. So that those should be referred back to our courts.
Thank you, Chairman. The discussion, something I really motivated when you talk about the court system and the justice system, and I don't understand, when you talk about banishment or determining what goes federal, the way I see it is in civil court, you got a thing called the tribal exhaustion doctrine. Before anything can go to federal court, you have to exhaust the tribal remedies. They even have that in administrative law. If you try to sue an administrative body in federal court, you have to go through their administrative grievance process before you can go to federal court and sue them, or even any court in that administrative sense. So it's always been a question to me is why are we sending young men and women to federal prison? And I don't agree with a lot of the things that the feds do. For one example, and I don't know, I'd like to see a lot of our community continue to work on it, but one of the big issues we have is sending our members to prison for meth. What the process is, it's a really lengthy process. They let them dealers deal and deal and deal. They pick them up, charge them, release, they get out, pick them up, charge them. And they keep doing that until they get a whole bunch of grams added up on their rap sheet. And then when they finally get a big enough amount of grams that they're caught with, then they have a bigger, stronger case. So we're basically, then they go to jail or prison for 5-6 years or whatever it is, and then they're banished. So now they're living in these border towns, and we're basically building a bridge between the cartels and our reservation. Because now we got members that know everyone on the res, and now we just kick them into the hub zones where the drugs get funneled into the res, and now they know everyone out there now. And now they're bridging that gap between the cartels or wherever this drug's coming from, straight to our front doors. So, I'd much rather see our court system, and I'm excited because the Health Committee, I think we're gonna make some ground on that treatment center, and that's one of the biggest things is having a treatment center and having a way to rehabilitate our members and, to help them, not use these drugs and suffer in the cycle that they're stuck in. But we need to empower our court system, and this is how we do it. We have inherent tribal sovereignty to charge members with all crimes outside the Major Crimes Act. The Major Crimes Act says anything within the Major Crimes Act goes federal. That's what the Major Crimes Act says. So, to me, anything outside the Major Crimes Act needs to stay here in our courts. And we need to prosecute them in our courts. Because if we arrest a meth user or a meth dealer, say meth dealer, not meth user, if we arrest a meth dealer and instead of releasing them and letting them deal and continue to contribute to our this meth problem, if we just deal with it in our tribal courts and give them 30 days, well, now they're off the streets for 30 days. And if we just keep doing that, pretty soon we might have every meth dealer off the streets for at least 30 days or whatever we're going to charge them with. But, that's all part of us exercising our inherent tribal sovereignty, our right to adjudicate these claims. And I really hope that the tribal council can see this vision that I see, because it's time, that we start doing this in our courts, start empowering our court system, and give our members a better way of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. Mr. Shingo, do you want
Chairman,
to comment?
Chairman, on that, maybe, on the contract court costs, you could maybe look at seeing, this Roy, Bowling is still the EIA's financial officer. Maybe the Commissioner Treasurer look at how we can, boost up, contract support on regarding the certification of our, to the point where we're going. Maybe we need to have that discussion with you guys. If he's still the finance guy for area, Roy Bollinger, I think that's how you say his name, but we need to bring him in. Maybe to the committee, and let me see what regarding contract and support, see if we can get a boost.
Okay, Madam Secretary, or Mr. Kessler, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. Morning, Traffic Council.
Morning.
General public. I guess I would differ with the comments that were made about targeting people for meth dealing. Becomes more of a slap on the hand type of thing. We've done that with the DUI policy here on reservation, and I don't see what it's doing necessarily good at all. We've got multiple people running around with 6, 8, 10, 12, 20, I don't know how many DUIs we have there. But these people are driving around with a loaded weapon. It's a weapon that's used to kill your citizens that you're here to protect. I don't see that happening. If we're allowing people with multiple DUIs driving vehicles continuously, they're killing our loved ones. I could name 4 or 5 off the top of my head over the last couple of years that have killed those young drivers. We're allowing those people on the street. I had one last month. My wife's coming to work. She's a worker. And we have a car that passes her lane and crosses in front of her at 7 o'clock in the morning. Almost altered our lives completely. And that's our fault by not taking these people off of the street. DUI is a serious crime, and it leads to more violence and death.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with, what, Mr. Kessler was saying as well. I mean, DUI is a pretty serious, occurrence or offense. And maybe we need to take an approach as legislators to strengthen that law, to help defer that, because deter that, because it's, yeah, there's lives have been lost, due to DUI. Some lives have been ruined, because of, drinking and driving. So, I mean, I wasn't trying to make light of it. I was just talking about the different jurisdictions, in regards to this here motion. We have the ability, and if we don't exercise our ability, then we're gonna lose that ability as far as, a tribal government or sovereign nation. You know, it's on us to be able to make those laws stronger. But as far as you know, some of the federal charges, there's gonna have to be, more than just a DUI, you know, maybe even vehicular homicide for it to go to the feds. But, this right here is just, you know, giving us the ability to be able to practice as, you know, within our own jurisdiction. That's all it was, stating, sir. Thank you.
Any other comments? Mr. Edwards?
Follow up on this, with that ordinance 2018, that was record of, we were told that, AD at the time, that 100 methods, 100 methods are 15, that's families. What about the 85? The ones that are using. The scenario stuck in my head, what's that? What are we doing? The alcohol and the meth, that meth was what we were warned 20 years ago. They told us that meth was minor. But not that meth though. There was a cop that got killed down in Mexico. Cartel gang. And they have the mindset they're not going back to prison. They're dangerous guys. But he had a code of meth and fentanyl. Not that fentanyl sounds like that's good. Everything's no good. They're targeting young people. We need to change that up and answer that question. We banish the ones that are selling that. What about the ones that are using it? That are wrong, that are in. So we gotta get all of them on 3 ways. I'm not mandating them to, he got a guy on red shot. That ain't gonna hurt them. That might even save them, save their life. But Chairman, with that ordinance 48, you should look at that too, because that all over the pregnant women, that's a threat now, that fentanyl coming in. Kind of like what Ron said, you know, they're heading to Denver, you know, Minneapolis, and then they're coming in here, targeting our reservations. We need to answer that question. You know, there's 100 using it, and we banished 15. What about the 85 that need help? Just like the DUI cases continually. So how do we intervene there? So not to, but I guess we're gonna have to intervene, no matter what. We gotta look at that intervention, what it's gonna look like. So I'm hoping to be kind of comprehensive now too. And the BIA needs to be involved. You know, in this too. Standing Rock, they got BIA jobs today. They're not under contract like this. So there should be kind of an agreement going on with the other reservations. The Law and Order Committee, maybe you should hold one with all the tribes, with the Law and Order Committee meeting, specifically on certain points, like one of them would be this. How are we going to deal with these DUIs and finance and fentanyl users? How are we going to intervene on that? And then have BIA there, kind of like what the former chairman did with he called in law enforcement meeting something wrong for us. We should turn the targets that on. Because what I heard there at that report was, they took off 1,000 or 2,000.
Chairman, is there a motion on foot? Bryce, let's stick to the motion.
That money, that 2,000, that ARPA money, the young guys are buying firearms, well, they said they took that many firearms off the street, because that's what those young guys are buying with that money. And I heard that, I heard that at that meeting, so we didn't look at some type of big meeting like that, so maybe it's a tribal law committees. You got nine years. Maybe we could move the law and order committees together, over some of this stuff. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, Mr. Thompson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, executives, council, general public. You know, Chairman, these are all really good motions, but the only problem with them all is, our judicial system and our law and order system can barely do the job now. The only way this all works is if you triple that funding in our court system and our law enforcement. That's the only way this is gonna work. Our court system can't even handle the caseload now. You know, you need more judges, you need more prosecutors, you need more public defenders, you need more police officers, you need all these things, and that all takes money. And this is a great idea. But the first thing we gotta do is we gotta get more money for that, our judicial system, our courts, our police force. That all needs extra funding to make this all work, and it will work. But with the budgets they got over there and the personnel, it's not gonna happen until you go in there and you fight for funding to get these people jobs. I mean, you're talking about prosecuting these people. How many prisoners can we hold over there? If we're gonna do this, that jail's gonna be full tomorrow. You know? Which is good, we should be doing that, but it's gonna take 4 times what the budget is over there now to do this the right way. Yeah, let's do it, but that's the first thing we gotta do, is we gotta get the money to do that. Because if you don't have the personnel over there and the police out on the streets, sorry guys, it's not gonna work. I mean, I'm getting texts from people that supposed to be in court 6, 7 months ago, and they can't even go to court. We gotta really revamp that, and if we did, we would have a good law and order and a good court system here, but until we get way more money and way more employees over there, and these are all good motions, but identify the funding first, but it's gonna take a lot of money for this to happen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we got Mr. Russo, Mr. Brinkman, Ms. Wetler.
Chairman, I'll second Duffy's motion to triple the range unit leases. Is that the motion you made? No? I just, so these motions are in order, and they need to happen. This, you know, I sit here, we got a pipeline to prison, Chairman LeBeau. Our children on this reservation have a greater chance of going to prison than they do getting a college education. And I don't have the statistics. I wish I did. I've asked for them since I've been on council. You know, and now I think you can almost say that we die of cirrhosis more than we go to college now too. So, you know, these are really alarming statistics. And we got to start somewhere. You know, normal governments, they generate funding for, we're a treaty tribe, we shouldn't be talking taxes, but they have tax revenue. So they're able to function normal. Normal operating government. They can provide all these services, courts, well, everything for their constituents. But we don't do that. We don't have taxes. And then the land leases that we have, our largest land resource, we subsidize that to our members. And it doesn't work. It isn't working. It hasn't worked. Our members are getting worse and worse and worse. I didn't volunteer. My kids played in the basketball tournament in in Timberlake, Mrs. Bullen. And, you know, the kids that don't have parents that can drive in Timberlake and do this kind of stuff, those kids are left out. And those are probably the same kids that are going to prison, because they're left out everywhere. They're left out when it comes to education, they're left out when it comes to mental health care, dental, and then they go to prison because they don't know how to cope with their skills, and they, you know, it's a broken system. But these actions are necessary. And, you know, a lot of these council reps that spoke out against these actions or this action, they've been here a long time and haven't brought any ideas to the table. They ain't even brought no ideas on how we're gonna generate more money. I've been bringing all kinds of ideas, just flooding this council with ideas, and just excited to see that there's new people coming on the council that actually want to move forward in a positive way. So I'm glad that these motions are coming out. I'm gonna keep on making these crazy motions, because I don't think they're crazy at all. I think they need to be made, and I think that we need to fight for these motions. So when we talk about the funding, I want to see my colleagues advocate for the farm bill to put that subsidy allowance to compensate this tribe for that land lease rate subsidy that we give to our members. And by giving that to our members, we
Point of order.
completely eliminate the entire
Stick to the
function
motion
of our
that's on the
government.
floor.
And then, Mr. Sergeant Armstrong, he came over and interrupted a phone call.
Mr. Chairman,
Mike Hewitt.
I'm already gonna give a warning, 3 more, they're gonna have to leave.
No way.
We had grandmas back here that got a phone call, they stepped out of respect and took their phone call out there. Why do you get to sit there and talk on your phone and disrupt everyone else? I'm just saying.
Some of them are important.
Well, step outside and take it.
Mr. Brinkman, go ahead. Mr. Brinkman?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Almost forgot what I was gonna say, but, we're gonna, well, I just think it's, we do, what Mr. Thompson's talking about, yeah, we do need more money. And, it's, you know, I'm really interested in what's happening with, the suit, the injunction that, OST had filed, and I understand that you was there for the second day, sir. So I know that we had an individual that was present for both days, and they're gonna be doing a written report back to the committee, so, and to yourself as well. So I'm really interested to see what takes place there. It is a fact that we're grossly underfunded when it comes to law enforcement, and our courts. And, you know, we can't, I mean, everybody wants somebody to be arrested, but if somebody gets arrested, then they go to the courts, and then there's not the proper follow-through, then yeah, it creates issues. But this right now, it's working towards taking a look at some of these issues as far as the major crimes and some of the misdemeanor charges, and to see how some of their other sister tribes are doing business as well. So this is just to, I know we get people that say, hey man, why are all these cases going to the feds? And then you get some utilitarians that want everybody to go to the feds. But, you know, these young people are people, you know, they're our responsibility. And, you know, maybe get a little motivated and start talking to some of them to see how, you know, how life's going for them. Because a lot of them are struggling, and they're expected to go to school, they're expected to function, and they're expected not to, you know, tread on somebody else's good day when their lives are probably just the best it could be. When these kids, these are the ones that we're hoping to save, and who knows, maybe some of those kids will be filling these areas here, or these seats, and becoming leaders in the future. So, you know, once these kids pick up a federal charge, then good luck trying to do anything else. You know, being Lakota or being Indian, and the way the system is geared, you're geared to go to prison. And so we need something to safeguard these young people. And that's all that this is the way I see it. So thank you, sir.
Bryce Underwood, and then Junior. Joe Brinkman,
Oh,
Bob Walters, Ronald Russo,
Yes.
Chelsea Hunter.
Yes.
11 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain, motion carries. Mr. Brinkman.
thank you, sir. There was some action that we had to take in the Law and Order Committee in regards to amending the chief of police job description. And these amendments were done and then sent over to HR. So I'll just read them into record. Training requirements, in there, it only had BIA, not state. So if you have BIA in there, then you're only going to be looking for BIA certified candidates. So it said to omit BIA and replace with current basic police officer certification, and omit BIA police supervisor certification, which it should read police certification or police supervisory certification. And the second change that was done was experience requirements. In there, it only had 2 years, so we upped it to 5. I mean, most other law enforcement would have 10 years for a position such as the chief of police, but we upped it to 5 from 2. The third was special recruiting requirements. As under special, special requirements is omit the MMPI or other, for other. So MMPI is a test that they have been using in the past. It's like a 500, 600 word test, and it's a psychological test, but it's just omitting that to place it with other, which it could be an MMPI or it could be a test that's, designed, excuse me? Yeah, equivalent to MMPI. Thank you. The last paragraph to amend, which is to kind of clarify, because the way it read, it read one line, but it's just basically adding a comma. So no convictions of a misdemeanor within 1 year prior to appointment. That motion was made by Representative Haskell, second by Representative Lee, and it carried. Motion, and the closing date for the chief of police position was February 10th. If it's maybe, how did the council do that in the past? Was that screened before it came to council, or how did that take place?
I believe they brought out applications.
Bought all of them?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I imagine we'll probably, in conversation, maybe I'll visit with the HR director and then see where they're at with that and see what we can do with, okay. Okay, there was a motion made by Representative Russo, second by Representative Haskell, to refer to claims of committee for the chief of police position to be elected at large with a 4-year term and to run concurrently with the executives. That'd be my motion. Oh, it's to refer, right? Motion to refer.
Got a motion by Mr. Brinkman, second by Mr. Russo. It's a referral. All raise your hand in favor. 1, 2, 3. We got 8 yes. 3 not voting, motion carries. Mr. Brinkman.
I think that concludes our, excuse me?
There was something else on that committee
Which one?
to amend the commission.
Oh, yeah. We have another issue that we have to address, but would have to ask for an executive to address the issue. Okay. Yeah. What? There's a motion.
It has to do with law and order, but, So, it's getting bad, guys. And I wish, law order committee or the chief of police do a budget. How many cops do we need? I remember when I was young that cops would be patrolling. They come in and they take off. Again, they come in and they take off. Do a budget. By resolution, bring it here, get it passed, so it can go up higher. We need cops out there. Are we gonna wait till somebody gets killed? People walk around at night. That's what I always think about when I heard those gunshots. And that's scary. So please, let's do a budget.
Mr. Chairman.
Get that sent up.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I really appreciate Madam Secretary's words. Also, yeah, just to let you know that every year, law enforcement and the courts do like a wish list for a budget, and then they send it in. But it's really up to this body on how we're gonna address that, because they do, it's gonna need to be subsidized. I say if we subsidize our program, then that maybe we should add a lawsuit to BIA as well for our shortfalls, because they should be funding us appropriately, and we should be able to bring in and retain law enforcement personnel. But yeah, we do need it for law enforcement, and like what Mr. Thompson was saying, was that we also need to beef up our courts as well too, to be able to handle these issues or these cases. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman, for the vote. I know we always go lobbying, and this time to get the lobbying packets ready again, and law enforcement and courts always has a budget in there. Now would be a time to do a updated budget and get it in so we can work on that. That's one of the areas we always focus on when we go to DC and Rockville. There's we had a few questions on the minutes. The last motion on amending the chief of police's job description, doesn't that need action?
It was referred, yeah, the tribal council referred that to law and order to update it, and then, yeah.
That was just my question. And the other one, don't all contracts go through council still, Chairman? Don't all contracts go through council? I know we did, because there was two of them in here, and they weren't approved by council, so I thought they were just overlooked by council. I don't know if the work's already been done, but still, for the payment process, they're gonna need that council action with that checklist and all the other documents. The contract and stuff, they're gonna need that council approval as part of that checklist before that person can get paid. So that's why I brought it up. There was two of them, and they're small, I know, I wish we could amend that and have them, if it's a small contract, like building a porch for a program or something like that, they have to go through this whole thing just as, or doing repairing the floor or something, they have to go through this whole process, just like you're building a house or something, it's the same process, it's kind of lengthy, because you're just repairing someone's floor, office's floor, but the two that were in here, I'm looking for now. One was Seth Briggs-Clay, and he was just removing the carpets in the prosecutor's office. That one used to go to the council, and the one underneath it, Lucas Peters, was doing the same thing, carpet in one of the offices.
Chairman,
Did he approve it? Is all the backup on here?
Yeah, it was all brought to law and order. Yep, to the committee. Before there were, what's that threshold for contracts? That was the question, 5,000. So before the programs were allowed to do these small contracts without having to get that, as long as they have everything attached to it, which they did, but when they took it to, through their, accounting, they said that they had to take it to committee. So that's why they brought it to committee next. So when they brought it to committee, then I visited with the executives. I was informed that they would handle it. The program should be able to handle these, because there's a process. So then that's why I didn't read those in, because if you didn't hear me, I was addressing these when we got to those motions.
So there's no council action needed for the contract?
Mr. Chairman, do you want council action, or we should? Okay. Okay.
Motion made to approve the contract, and then I'll second it, and is that for assessment study?
And,
Second motion.
Okay, motion by Mr. Russo, second by Ms. Lee. Discussion on the motion. Madam Secretary?
For council information, there's a council action that all contracts come to tribal council, so. it's information. And of course, there's all the backup, the contract, and legal review, and contracting specialist, checklist. And the executive resolution will all need to be attached to the executive resolution with the committee's approval to do the executive resolution, or if there's no committee, held, then the committee chair needs to do a memo approving that executive resolution. And they sent that out, it's on the website, and they sent it out as email blast to all the directors of that committee. Thank you. Ready, Greenwood? Kevin Junior?
Yes.
John Kessler? Henry Dupree?
Yes.
Sharon Lee?
Yes.
Chelsea Haskell?
Yes.
Chad Rowe?
Yes.
Darren Bartlett?
Yes.
Joe Brinkman?
abstain.
Bob Walters? John Russo? Duffy Thompson?
Yeah.
11 yes, 0 no, 1 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries.
Chairman vote. And the second one was, Lucas Pierce, and it was for the same thing, removing carpet in the prosecutor's office, and that's my motion.
Okay, motion is approved by Ms. Lee, second by Mr. Russo. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. So, when I was at the payroll commission meeting, it was said that that the payroll commission doesn't have to, if they approve, and they were talking about hiring Tracy Zephyr as an attorney, and if they hire her, it didn't have to go to council, but that's a contract. So, the payroll commission doesn't have to do that, because we talk about contracts, you need to go to council for approval. But I just heard at the last Terrell meeting that the Terrell meeting didn't have to go to council. So can we clarify that?
Okay. I think, we're talking about law and order here. Let's take this up, we can take that question as we do the terror report. Madam Secretary?
Greg Sidwood? Kenneth Junior?
Yes.
John Kessler?
Yes.
Henry Dupree?
Yes.
Sharon Lee?
Yes.
Chelsea Haskell?
Yes.
Chad Rowe?
Yes.
Darren Bartlett?
Yes.
Joe Brinkman?
Yes.
Bob Walters? John Russo?
Yes.
Duffy Thompson?
Yes.
12 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 0 absent, motion carries.
Okay, Chairman LeBeau, and I had one more thing. In the minutes, when the meeting started, there's a special location. Maybe Chair brings one out, I guess it was a motion, so, but it was from a previous law and order committee action. Special location, Representative Lee stated for the record, the standing motion of the last law and order committee that Representative Russo is suspended from law and order committee attendance until the court cases in our tribal court have been resolved, and that was the criminal court cases, and that he can participate. He did call Chairman Briggs Penny, and he can sit in, but can't vote on anything. But he did come to the meeting, and you see he made motions, and the chairman of the committee allowed him to use all his motions. He was supposed to, so I was saying, to when he was going to give the list of cases against him from the court, and he's gonna let us know on council. Was you able to get that done then, Mr. Bernstein?
No, if I may, sir, I did advise, in discussion, we did advise him, he can participate in law and order meetings, as long as it isn't on his issues. And he agreed to that. So that was my understanding of it, not to exclude himself or hold himself back as a voting member. So, and the cases, they're still, I mean, if the case is in court, then, you know, I would probably suggest take that back to law and order. We don't, I think, have anything in regards to any cases, court cases that I'm aware of for that part of it.
Chairman Wolf? This is the Law and Order Committee meeting on March 18, 2022. There was a motion by Council Representative Rita Underwood, second by Council Representative Martin Lawrence, that Council Representative Ronald Bruce would not be allowed to participate in the Law and Order Committee meetings until he fulfills his duties and is in good standing with his obligations to the CRST Constitution. And that carried by 6-4, 0 opposed, the motion carried on the day. So that's the motion that I'm referring to.
You want to take that up at your next meeting?
Yeah,
If you want him to be part of the committee, you should actually send that motion, but it sounds like that's a committee issue at this time.
Motion to rescind.
Second.
Take that motion to the committee, I said.
yeah.
Chairman,
Mr. Kessler?
Thank you, Chairman. I guess I wanted to go back and discuss let's see. I made the motion. It was in regards to develop an agreement with Facebook in regards to post use and legal charges and to include the law and order code. The person that brought this felt that some of the information that they had posted about another individual, it had been used in the court of law actually against this person. I think part of the demise, so, they actually came and complained about something that they had posted and they'd been used by somebody else in court. So, further discussion that I would like to have going forward with the law has to do with our internet policy as far as the tribes concerned. We've got a lot of activity, whether it's on Facebook, on some of our private pages. We've also got, I don't really know, TikTok or various other platforms that people go to share information and ideas. And lately it seems like, there's quite a bit of misinformation. I guess we can start with a statement of defamatory. It has to do with remarks or writing, etc. And the definition of it is damaging the good reputation of someone, slanders, or libel. Then it has a definition that says a defamatory allegation. So, I guess if you look further into that, you look at the Bible and the definition of libel. And it has to do with a public false statement that is guaranteed to the person who is facing. I would say that at this point, we've had a lot of defamatory statements made, whether it be on a tribal page or there's some fringe sites out there that publish quite defamatory information, as well as and I think the tribe needs to make this, more work and put a policy in place that deals with these kinds of allegations. It goes beyond the defamatory item. It goes into the power of bullying. And it's not healthy for the adult population, and it's very unhealthy for our younger population. They go through this daily in their lives, whether it be at school or just in activities that go out of that basis. And it never seems to leave them because it follows them back, follows them everywhere they go. And it creates a real stress factor in their lives as well as and it's, we're not holding our adults accountable in Cheyenne River for the things that they say and do on the internet. I don't know how we can instruct our kids to live a healthy life and not treat each other that way on a 24-hour day basis. So I think it starts at the top. We clean some of these things up and put some policies in place, to try to court to deal with this. And we'll take them to court and we'll sue the hell out of them. And then they'll learn to quit making untrue. Well, I always say there's untrue, mistrue, and downright lies. And that's what we've got to clean up. And when we clean it up on an adult level, it'll help our kids succeed in life. So let's quit letting these internet warriors get by with this nonsense. Take it to them, clean them up, stick them in front of the judge, and then we won't be having shootouts on our streets within our city limits. And that's serious stuff. So everybody think about it. And I know there's a lot of people that are probably not willing to accept the fact that some of the things they say and do are injurious and hurtful to other individuals and their families. And it needs to stop. You can have debate in a healthy manner without all of the extras that I've been seeing for a couple of years now. So, with that said, Tribal Council, I'd like us to take that issue up, push it forward. We had started on it previously. There are some guidelines, a little bit of framework started, but I think we need to push it through as fast as we can so that we can clean up our activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. Council will continue this discussion after our lunch break. You want to come back about 1:30? I believe some of you have eaten our lunch date.